So for the Holy mod, we will need a hot swappable PCB, the mechanical keyboard, some tweezers, a nail clipper, some band-aids or medical tape, scissors, the usual stabilizers, and a keycap puller and switch puller. First step, remove the keycaps. So the second step is with the switch puller, remove the switch that is on top of the stabilizer we want to mod. The third step is to remove the stabilizer. So we have to look at this tiny tab right here, and with the tweezers push up and they will come alone. In case your keyboard has silicone between the plate and the PCB, follow these steps. So unscrew the keyboard, and it will mainly only affect the spacebar stabilizer. So with some pliers or with some tweezers, grab from here, you can see some silicone here, and grab the tiny end that comes out and stretch, and just remove this big chunk with scissors. Just remove it like that, and do the same with the other side, and that will be it. Just assemble the back and that's it. The fourth step is to deassemble the stabilizers. You have to unclip the wire and turn it around. So the fifth step, if you're looping the stabilizers, is to get rid of the fabric loop, because it's not very good. So just divide the stem from the housing. So add some water and some hand soap and mix. I maybe added too much water, but just... Oops. Now the sixth step is to cut a tiny thin strip of either band-aid or medical tape. For the seventh step, once you pass through the piece of band-aid with a thin tweezer, but I don't have a thin tweezer, or the wire, try to stick the band-aid to the ramp of the hole, like I'm doing. There's a tiny ramp, so just try to stick over here. I'll add some photos to make it look visually more understandable, but like this. And with the X's on this side of the hole, with the X's of this side of the hole, just grab and stick this piece into the second hole right here. So like this. Be like this. Be careful it doesn't stick out the ramp, because it happened to me a lot of times. And just when you're done, cut the remaining X's and just adjust imperfections and do it with the other stems. Once we finish to put the band-aid into all of these stems, it's time to go to the second mod, or the second part of this mod, that is looping stabilizers. Now the materials for the second mod, that is looping stabilizers, will be the normal stabilizers, the mechanical keyboard, a hot swappable PCB, and the loop that I'm gonna use Kratox 205 GO with some tiny super thin paintbrushes. So now it's time to loop the stabilizers. The first step is to grab the stem and grab a tiny amount of lube and loop the walls of the stem. I would recommend you to grab the stem with either a stem holder or some tweezers. This, and you evenly spread it on the face. And once the stem is looped, grab the housing, grab a little bit of loop, and spread it evenly onto the inner walls of the housing. Now that the stem and the housing is evenly looped, the side of the stem with 2 holes should line up with the entrance of the wire in the housing, like this. And there you go. Now the second step is to loop the wire. So to loop the wire, we have to grab a generous amount of lube and spread it across the tip of the wire and a little over the 90-degree angle. Once you spread the loop of the wire evenly, grab this the housing, put the wire through this hole and like this. So you see it right there. And now push it over here and like this. Let me repeat it again for y'all to see. Like this. To the hole, through here, and like that. It has to click in place. Just try, it's kind of difficult, but when you put it into the hole, just try to twist the rod to apply pressure up and twist like this. Once you apply back the stabilizers, to apply them back you just have to do the same when you deassemble them. Just put the wire in here and press a little bit and that's done. But now for the last step, you have to spam the keycaps that have stabilizers, because it's normal that they make a tiny mushy noise when they just got lubed and mudded. That is actually normal, and you have to spam these letters for about 10 minutes and it will eventually improve in sound and feel quality, so don't worry. For the last mod, that is lubing switches, we will need the mechanical keyword with a hot toggle PCB, a switch puller and a keycap puller, a switch opener, the lube that is Krytox 205GO, a very thin brush, and then tweezers and or a stem holder that will be very useful, but they are recommended. They're not mandatory, so recommended. And very important, if you want to follow this guide, make sure you have optical gaterons. You can also do it with mechanical switches, but as I'm using gateron opticals, I recommend you that you follow this guide, especially if you have gateron opticals. But if you have clicky switches or blue switches and they're or mechanical or optical gateron, I don't care, just please don't loop them. It's a waste of money and time, and they are not meant to be looped because the click that they do is permanent, so don't loop them. It's a waste of money and time. So the first step is to pull out these switches. So the second step is to grab a switch, place it on the switch opener and press down with strength, because this is gonna help divide the switch. So now we have a switch divided into the bottom housing, the stem, the upper housing, and the spring. So now for the third step, you should apply lube onto your brush. It shouldn't even be visible. Do 3 or 4 passes on one of the contact points that are like these tiny bits that go up, and into the other side, as you can see, 3 or 4, and then with the remaining lube, just lube the circle in the middle, the bottom, the walls, and that will be it. So now it's time for the fourth step, that is lubing the spring. So we're gonna grab a little bit more lube than the last time, but it shouldn't be visible as well, and you only have to evenly spread the lube on the top and bottom of the spring. So once you do one side, you do the other one and put the spring back into its hole, so you have it prepared. So for the fifth step, with your tweezers, stem holder, or hands, you just grab it like this and grab some lube. It shouldn't be visible, and apply the lube into these sides that have like sliders, and you just apply evenly. And now these walls, the other walls, like this, And now with the remaining loop, you just have to loop the insides right here, the insides, and this tiny stick. And when you're done, you grab the bottom housing with the spring. And so now for the last step, you just have to reassemble back your keyboard.